to face. Sri Lanka's political landscape is shifting rapidly. Now, while friction between a government and the opposition is quite normal, what we are seeing these days is quite a bit of unprecedented movement within the opposition itself. So what exactly is going on here? My guest tonight is very well capable of shedding some light on all the questions that I have for him today. Joining me today is Rehan Jayawickreme, Valigama organizer of the Samagi Janabalawega and former chairman of the Valigama Urban Council. He is no stranger to our program, of course. So Rehan, welcome back. It's a pleasure to have you join us.
Thank you for having me on, Teruni. Thanks.
Rehan, how are things going for you? How is the political life treating you these days?
So I think we are doing our grassroots party mechanism again. We are sort of spreading it out, and there are multiple stakeholders involved in all this. So moving forward, I think we are trying to build a very progressive front. Who are the parties that will get together or not is, I think, not as important as of now. But as you know, the Samagi Janabalawega is the party that received the most amount of votes after the incumbent government on both the presidential elections and also the general elections. So it's a responsibility of the main opposition to also build up a strong party that we can face future elections with. So there's a lot of discourse going right now. There's a lot of grassroots level discourse going on, and lots of people are giving their ideas. The party leadership is aware of all this. So I think moving forward, we have to create a very, like I said, a very vibrant and very powerful opposition. And when I say vibrant and powerful, the reason I'm saying that is I'm not in the opinion personally that we need to get everyone and everything into our party. I think when we are going forward, we have to also trust the mandate as to why the people voted for the NPP. Now, whether the NPP is performing or not is a different story, but the people's aspirations were that the NPP will do clean governance, which means a central theme is still clean governance. So we have to understand the aspirations of the people. So I hope that moving forward, and I think it's already happening, I think we are not going to be associated with each and everything that comes our way. We will be checking the pulse of the people. And I think it's only then we can it's only then we can go to the people and we can make it seem believable at least. If not, I don't think the people have a lot of trust in us at the moment, and it's up to us to rebuild that trust.
So I want to talk about that movement within the opposition, like you just mentioned. We did hear quite a bit of talk about alliances being formed, especially during the last couple of elections. But the arrest of former President Ranil Wickremesinghe seemed to kind of intensify this discourse within the opposition as well. We saw opinions being expressed during the UNP anniversary convention. What exactly is going on here, Rehan? Talk to me about where exactly the SJB stands in the middle of all of this.
Now, I'm a member of the SJB, but I'm also entitled to have my own opinion. I've always been very outspoken in what I say, because I feel that what I say and what I say within the party, I don't see it as a bad thing, because I echo the sentiments of, a diverse range of people who want change. So that being said, in my personal opinion, I wasn't there in court that day. I didn't want to really visit Mr. Wickremesinghe, not that I didn't want to. I have a lot of respect for him as some of the things he's done for this country, and that we can't take away from him, right? So it's interesting you asked me that question, because if you look at it from the 1970s, he's done a lot of good work. But that being said, that is completely different to when you are accused by someone and you have to go and answer in court. That's a completely different scenario. You can do a multitude of good things to the country, but you could also be held accountable. You can be held accountable if you've done something wrong. So my opinion was that, yes, maybe the method in which Mr. Wickremesinghe was arrested was wrong. Why do people say that? Some people say that, you could have, because it's an ex-president we're dealing with, you could have got a determination from the Supreme Court, and then you could have got that, based on that determination, you could have arrested him. So maybe the method was wrong and maybe the process was wrong. But that being said, when the Attorney General's Department, when they submitted their facts to court, it's then up to the courts to decide. So I don't think it was responsible for us as opposition to go in front of court, because we are putting the lives of others in danger as well. for example, the magistrate issued an order saying that she wants everyone to be identified who was there, because it could count as contempt of court or insulting the judiciary. So we shouldn't put up people in that position, because if we were in power and we had a court case going on, if someone came in, it's not the right optics. So that's my opinion about the whole thing. But then my end analysis on it is, and my end opinion is, that there is a law in this country for you and me and everyone else. And the law that is equal to you and the law that is equal to me should be the law that is applied to everyone else in the country. And I'll tell you where I have issue with this. Look at some of the things that the lawyers actually told court about the medical conditions and all. They made it seem like he had a very, very bad medical condition. Again, I'm not taking anything away from the fact that Mr. Wickremesinghe could have been sick. But could a normal person get bail from a court if they used these excuses? The judges wouldn't care whether you had sleep apnea or not. That's not the judge's concern. But I think moving forward, there's a law and order system in this country. The courts are also part of that system. If Mr. Wickremesinghe gets out of these charges, I wish him all the best. And if he's not going to get away from the charges, and if he's done something wrong, then he has to basically go through the same thing that all Sri Lankans go through. Shouldn't be selective justice. It should be justice equal to all.
Now that we are seeing some solidarity here, Rehan, do you think from what you know from within the party, the Samagi Jana Balawega, do you see a potential alliance being formed?
Now, can I mean, look at it this way. Now, in order for two people to get together, both parties need to be sincere. You can't be insincere, and you cannot have those feelings of sincerity, and you can't expect to get together. Now, that being said, just the other day, the UMP issued a statement saying that they are going to lift the suspensions and the expulsions of those that left the party. Now, was there a necessary comment? No, it's not. Why? Because it's impossible for one person to be a member of two different political parties. We were expelled from the UMP. We formed our own party, which is the SJB, which means we are SJB members. So now, why did Mr. Wickremesinghe's camp bring that proposal in that way? It's to basically create some sort of division within the party. Now, how can we be reinstated back to the UMP when we're SJB members? So what the UMP should have done, if it's sincere about these efforts, and I think there are many people who are sincere in both camps, what they should have done was they should have approached us with some sort of decency and some sort of self-respect, and they should have said, we regret expelling you all from the party. Now let's all get together and work for the country. But instead, they try to play this division game. And, that created a lot of bitterness within our own party members, because our party members said, we're not going to go back. If they want to come to us, let them come to us. So that sort of talk started happening within the party. So if they're really serious about getting together, they have to give the Samagi Jana Balawega its right place. We are the main opposition party of the country. Our presidential candidate received the most amount of votes after the incumbent president. So, obviously, the leadership of such an alliance should rest within the Samagi Jana Balawega. Now, when the SLPP were creating alliances with all sorts of parties back in the day, the main alliance party was the Pohottuwa and the Bulat Kole or whatever, and it was always headed by the person who was the most popular at the time. So what we are saying is, and what the party is saying is, it's okay, let's work together, because, we need to work together. But it's not going to be with the same sort of structure that was there before. Things need to change in the UMP, things need to change in the SJB, but this can only be combined if they give us the right place that we deserve, that we have proved in countless elections.
Rehan, now I want to talk about your area, Waligama. Of course, we know that with the recent drug raids, there was the first time discovery of a very dangerous drug in Waligama. And of course, this goes on to show that drugs is becoming a very serious issue in the country. How do you view this development, and how do you think it impacts this community that you once served, especially as the chairman of the Urban Council?
No, look, I mean, ice is a crazy drug. It's wrecking families, it's wrecking homes all over the place. I think drugs in the range of ice and like fentanyl and all these things are really, destroying lives, like heroin and all those things, right? So, or in any drug really. So, now, how do we deal with this? How do we deal with it? Is that we got to first of all understand where are these roots coming from? As in, like, Are they mainly in-house distribution networks that we are capturing, or where is the chunk of the drugs coming from? Are they coming by boat? Are they coming and are they getting caught at customs? After you identify that, now let's say it comes from the sea, right? And it comes to a sea route. Then obviously you amplify your security levels and you instruct the Navy and the armed forces that, this is the route and we got to be more vigilant. That's the number one step you can take. But moving aside from that, because now we found out that there's a huge, this drug network in Sri Lanka also involves many politicians who have also been, according to police investigations, that is, I'm not going to name any names,
Okay.
but lots of politicians seem to be in on this. Maybe from all parties that I'm not sure of. But then with that sort of thing going on, you realize that this is a serious problem in this country. So when you look at the Veligama incident, because you specifically spoke about Veligama, the most recent drug capture was in a house that was operated by Moldovans. And they were manufacturing something that was actually more deadlier than ice. I can't remember what it's called, but something to do with some methadone or something like that. But anyway, that is now supposedly the first time it was found in Sri Lanka. Now, how do we prevent foreigners from coming and doing this? Number one, that particular foreigner had leased this house for 1 year. If you're a SME owner, or if you're a part of SME, and if you're a small and medium enterprise owner and you have your own villa, and if you get a booking from abroad, you should always check the duration of that booking. If it's a booking that surpasses an year or two, you can still give it to them or give it to their local crowd. You can still give it to them, but you need to do a thorough background check. Find out, why do these people want this for 2 years? Are they digital nomads? Do they have jobs in Sri Lanka? Or do they have jobs in the south? Are they on a work visa? If they're not on a work visa, them getting a house for 1 year, is that legal within the existing immigration framework? So all these things have to be put in place, because unless there is a state mechanism, and that's why I urge the president and the government, appoint a special task force for this, because that hasn't been done yet. Usually, if there's something that's going out of control in a country, and if it's spreading faster than a plague, you need to have a national action plan to solve that particular problem. There is no point having committees for all sorts of things if you're not going to have a task force for dealing with the most important things. So get a task force, get the best of the best, and then you can generally clean these things out. But it's a long process.
Definitely.
It's not going to be something that's going to be done in a day. But hopefully, if we all get together and do our part, I think it's quite possible.
We also know that Veligama is an area that is very much known for tourism as well as its vibrant community. Rehan, from your perspective, what kind of opportunities should the leaders be focusing on in your region to make sure that, Veligama is highlighted for the gem that it is, and it's not only highlighted by the issues?
Teruni, it's not just Veligama, right? But
Definitely.
if you look at but you're right, Veligama is a hotspot, for surfing. But what did the government do the other day, a few months ago? I don't know whether you're aware, but you've probably seen it on social media. Veligama had a very vibrant stretch of surfing establishments. Some of them were illegal, some of them were given on a temporary basis. What the government promised them from back in the day was, you all can function, and the day that we legalize this and we give this plot to you all for a minimum number of years, you guys can continue operating. Now, knowing the fact that the Veligama season is coming up and the southern season is coming up, what does the government do? The government completely takes away all the surfing camps. Now, they have now allowed them to do it again. But my question is, why do it the first place? Why do it in the first place? What they needed to have done, and what Mangala Samaravira envisioned for Matara, was Mangala had this plan called the Greater Matara Development Plan. So, as you know, Matara has 7 electorates. Veligama is only one of those electorates. Mangala formulated as finance minister a very broad tourism plan. Now, that tourism plan is sitting on the desk of the UDA. The only thing that happened that we couldn't really, gazette it, is because Gotabaya Rajapaksa came into power. But what I'm trying to say is that document is there. It's readily available. So all this government has to do is look at this document, Look at the tourism plan that Mangala envisioned. Look at the stuff that, because this has all the approvals of all the boards anyway, so they don't need to do a new tourism plan, which will take another 3 years. They can take a look at this, and if there are shortcomings, they can add the shortcomings, but they can gazette it even at 12 midnight today. So why isn't that being done? It's because Sri Lanka has this nasty habit that no matter how good a policy is, when governments change, so does policy. Policy cannot change. Governments can change. In successful countries, policies remain, which is why in very advanced countries like Singapore, in Japan, even in the US, even in the Great Britain, it doesn't matter. Okay, I would probably take 2 of those countries out of that equation, but if you look at Singapore, for example, the systems are there in place. It doesn't matter who you and I vote for in that country, because irrelevant of who we vote for, the systems are still the same. So unless this government is serious about getting our help, there has not been one time where the government has approached me and asked me for my viewpoints on Valigama. There are certain things that we also can provide. And we are not duty bound by the party where we can't help out the government in things that are productive. So make use of the opportunities that you guys have. That's what I'm trying to tell the NPP. Make opportunities of the 6.9 million vote that you got. Make opportunities of the 158 members of parliament that you have. Make an opportunity of that and change Sri Lanka. Attempt to change Sri Lanka. And if there are ways that you can get support from the opposition, get that support. Because unless real system change happens, system change is not just talking about TV and throwing people in jail. The funniest thing is now when these arrests are happening, for example, when there are politicians being arrested, you have government ministers commenting on it. You don't get that anywhere in the world. Okay, if you want independent law establishments, if you want an independent judiciary, if you want an independent armed forces, do not comment on their activities. Let them do their job. Now, for example, in Singapore, because I'm talking greatly about Singapore because I read both of Lee Kuan Yew's books. And they're amazing books. Any upcoming politician or anyone for that matter should really read the Singapore story by Lee Kuan Yew to understand how he made that country what it is in that much of a short time. And it's all systems. It's all putting a system that's, not very easy for people to go around. So where is that system present? And like I said, just throwing people to jail is not the answer. It may be the answer, but it's not something that politicians need to harp on about. Because how can you preach about the independence of all these institutions if you're getting involved and if you're saying, oh, it's a great thing what the police did? Why would a Sri Lankan minister go to the airport to welcome the police team that captured underworld criminals? That is not a minister's job. A minister's job is in his ministry behind his desk, formulating plans and formulating system change. It is not to go to the airport to welcome an underworld criminal or to welcome the police team that captured the underworld criminals. So look, we got our priorities mixed up, right? I mean, that's what it seems to me. And unless we arrange our priorities together and put them in one box and, move forward, I just don't see how it's going to happen. I just see a repetition of what happened before. But that being said, I am in agreement of some of the things that this government is doing. I like some of the things that they're doing. I like some of the things that they're saying. But you can't do or say things that are 20% effective and then not perform for the rest of the 80%, right? So they really have to get their act together.
Rehan, now talk to us about what exactly is going on within the Samagi Jana Balavegaya these days. Like I said earlier, there has been quite a bit of movement within the opposition. Walk us through the situation within the Samagi Jana Balavegaya.
What aspect of the Samagi Jana Balavegaya do you want to know? What do you want to know about? As in, what do you want me to...
Talk to us about the opinions that the people have.
You're telling me no, otherwise I'll land in trouble.
Absolutely. I understand, absolutely. So basically, when it comes to the formation of alliances, like I mentioned earlier, there seems to be quite a few opinions regarding forming alliances with other parties. And these are all parties that used to at one point accuse each other. What's Samagi Jana Balavageya's stance regarding this? Samagi
Jana Balavageya's stance has to be what the working committee decides. No, it can't be individual. Statements. So what the working committee has decided is that when working with these alliances, that we will put it into a committee and we will decide which alliances these are going to be in. But I'm giving a very sincere I'm cautioning the Samaga Jana Balawege, my party. Do not make the same mistake you made in 2024 by going and aligning yourselves with people that you should not be in bed with. Okay, because there's a famous saying that if you go to sleep with dogs, you will wake up with fleas, right? So, if that's the path that they want to take, I can tell you, for example, that politicians like me, I don't know about retiring, because politics is not something that you can generally retire from that easily. It's something that you like to do for the people. We'll have to look at alternatives. And if that alternative is, I don't know, I'm not going to say too much, but yeah, we have to explore possibilities, no? Because if our voices and our opinions are not heard, that means the people's voices are not heard. Because I always say, we represent the voice of the people. So if it's because the people don't have a voice, no, they give us that voice. Otherwise, we'll have 21 million in parliament, right? The reason we don't have that amount in parliament is because they choose their representative to go and talk about what their opinions and what their voice is. So if their voice is that we shouldn't be aligning ourselves with people that are rogues and robbers and crooks and extortionists and rapists and murderers, if that's the pulse of the people, then that is where we have to stand. And if the party that even I represent does not listen to the will of the people, then we as young politicians will have to look at more possibilities. So that's not going to happen as of now. So I urge the party to not let that happen, because we like what we do, we love what we do, we are not tainted with corruption, I'm not tainted with corruption. And so moving forward, I hope they think about all that.
Rehan, it's been 1 year since this government came into power, and the opposition says that what the government has done is not sufficient. In your view, what's your view?
I agree 100%.
And what would the SJB have done differently?
Listen, everything seems nice, Teruni, when you talk about it with a bag full of roses, right? It smells really sweet. But if you look at, like I said, I told you they are doing good things as well. They are. But look at the state capture, what they're doing now. I don't know whether you're aware what state capture is. I was also aware of it only about a few days ago. I read this article in the morning newspaper about this editorial that said the state capture. What they are doing right now, when you look at it, is that they are getting their own people entrenched in the existing state system. So do ministries, for example, now. If you want an example, let me tell you the finance ministry secretary. Now, what were these guys saying when the finance ministry secretary were given to people like Cabral? They were up in arms, right? They said, why are you giving people based on, how well you know them? Why can't it be based on meritocracy? That's what they said. But who did they appoint as the finance ministry secretary? They appointed Mr. Harshana Suryaperuma. Now, who is Harshana Suryaperuma? Harshana Suryaperuma is a NPP cadre member. He represented the NPP as an economist on their stage. He is part of the NPP economic committee. But here's the catch. Let's discount all of that. He was also a member of parliament. And he was the deputy minister of finance. So they essentially got a guy from parliament to resign and gave him a job within the treasury. Now that's wrong, because you can't have other guys doing it and say it's wrong and then say we are doing it and we are right. I mean, you can't do that, because I'll tell you what's wrong with that. You're appointing a friend of yours. The president essentially appointed a friend of his to manage the state finances. That's number one. That's my number one example of state capture, where they infiltrated the treasury. Now, what is the second thing that they did? If you look at some of the people that they have appointed to key institutions, right, including how they kept the RTI position vacant for a while, because they tried their best to get in, best for one of their people to get in. It didn't work out, so they kept that vacant as well. So the Treasury Secretary's example is a prime example of how they are machinizing the state. Now, where is the danger in that? The danger in that is right now what is happening is there is a huge sense of AKD euphoria. The same type of euphoria that was there during GR's time, but to be honest, the president is doing better work. Now people are all fixated on this one man. But what if something were to happen to him tomorrow? Then what happens? Then who runs this state? So if they have taken decisions based on the president's opinions, that's all fine and good until the president remains in that spot. But the minute that the president is not there, then we have problems. Because what have we done? We have put our loyalists into key government institutions. And that's that part of it. Then if you look at accountability, now, wasn't this government very keen on accountability? Then how is it possible that the Speaker of Parliament, who lied about his educational qualifications, who lied to the High Post Committee when asked what his qualifications were, when he said that he had a doctorate from the Waseda University in Japan, it's been 200 plus days, Teruni, he was caught out. He had to resign because the Samagya Jana Balawegaya were preparing a no confidence motion. The counter argument could be that they had 158, but they wouldn't have wanted to vote for it, knowing the fact that this guy didn't have his certificate. So what did they do? They asked the Speaker to resign from the Speaker post. But he's still a member of Parliament. That man is still a member of Parliament. So shouldn't the CID take action against him for falsifying his records and lying to the Parliament of Sri Lanka? Shouldn't he be arrested? So that's another problem with accountability. And if you look at some of the things that the ministers are talking about, when they're talking about things like Monkey Islands, where they think that the entire population of monkeys in Sri Lanka can be relocated to island in somewhere off the coast in Sri Lanka. You know, where is the money coming in from? What is the economic level after 100 days? I mean, do you find it easier when you go to a supermarket, when you go to your polo, do you find that your cost of goods that you're buying are cheaper than what it was? So it's a very easy thing to talk about how you're going to do governance. Look at the electricity board. I mean, look at the Ministry of Power and Energy. The Bribery Commission has now prepared to take action against its deputy minister. Okay, so it all looks amazing, really. But this is the same. We've gone through this euphoria before. It's only until stuff really starts hitting the fan that you know. I use a particular word, but it's only when it hits the fan that you know that something's wrong. So, the first 100 days, if you ask me for a very honest answer, I would say there are certain aspects which I think, and then you may think of asking me, what are those aspects? I feel that the ministers are not abusing their privileges. I think their families are kept in check. I think the president is not abusing his privileges. I think the president is living a very sort of humble life as a president. I think most of the ministers are doing, I'm not saying doing their job, but they're running their ministries without the way that it was run before. I think local government authorities are functioning slightly better because of corruption issues and how there seems to be a lack of corruption. But that is the good side that I see. But then, like I said, there's a whole new different side that they are not doing, which they have got the mandate for. And if they don't fulfill this, they'll also have to go home. It doesn't have to be 5 years. You know, there'll be a day where people think that this is the same sort of behavior as the others. So that's where I think it stands. I do think that there's significant improvement, but I don't think that there is something for them to harp on about every single day at their press conferences, talking about how great they are and what they've done and catching crooks and all that. That's not their job. Their job is not to play cops and robbers, no. Their job is to do their job. What is their job? Being a politician. What is a politician? A statesman. What is a statesman? Someone that carries the name of our country in and out of Sri Lanka in a positive way. I mean, it could be described as that, but that's what they should be doing. They shouldn't be doing this petty politics of talking about who's going in next and who's going in the day after. Let it happen. Don't take the surprise away from people. Don't go and tell YouTube channel people so that they will tell you before the Supreme Court who's going to jail. You don't need that. Let the law enforcement officers do their own job.
Rehan, now as a younger leader within the Samagya Jana Balawegaya, do you think there's enough youth representation within the party at this point?
When you talk about youth representation, It doesn't even, now the current quota is 25%. It doesn't matter even if you make it 75% if the youth in this country don't want to do politics. Okay? You need to do it. You need to want to do it. You need to have the hunger to do it. You need to be able to make the sacrifices you need to make, both professionally and personally in your lives. You know, there are lots of things that I want to do that I can't do now, or that I did in the past that I can't do now because I'm a public figure, and what I am is I'm supposed to be a role model for people or younger people who want to do politics. So there is significantly more that we can do, that I agree. We should give the youth more positions, but the youth also have to get more involved. So that's another like sincere request that I make, like from any upcoming young boy who wants to be a politician one day. If there's someone here who's watching this who's a captain of his debating team and he wants to be a politician, or someone who is an entrepreneur who thinks that, you know, he can use his entrepreneurial skills to advance the nation or make the nation, you know, much more developed than what it is, you know, get into it. It's very easy to fight from outside. It's very easy to cast comments and throw stones from outside. You know, and stop this habit of saying all politicians are bad. Because all politicians, all humans are not bad. All animals are not bad. The same way all businessmen are not bad. All doctors are not bad. The same way treat politics as a profession. Not all politicians are bad. There are some politicians who want to make a change. There are some politicians who are dying and sacrificing their all to do good for this country. So believe in that. Believe that you can be the difference. You know, believe that it's you who can make that change and not someone else. So to do that, you all have to get involved. So if you're an NPP supporter, go and join the NPP tomorrow. If you're a party supporter of ours, come and join the SJB. If you want to do politics with the Pohottua, go and do it there. But get proactively involved in this country's political infrastructure. Because if there are not going to be any politicians, then who's going to run the country? Can you run a court without a judge? Can you run the legal profession without lawyers? Can you run the medical profession without doctors and nurses? And so why is politics any different? You know, you need to believe that you can make a change. Otherwise, there's no point, like I said, complaining from outside. It serves no one any purpose whatsoever.
Now, beyond politics, it seems like the youth, this new generation, seems to be quite disconnected from the traditional political parties. Rehan, how do you think the SJB can bridge this gap and bring the youth back into, well, make them understand the importance of politics?
I think it's a worldwide problem, Tharuni. I don't think it's just here.
Yeah.
Now, for example, everyone thought the youth was very silent back in the day. But when you look at the Aragali and when you look at what happened in Nepal, that was all orchestrated by the youth. So the silence of the youth shouldn't be taken for granted. Because silence is their weapon. It's a weapon of the youth. Their silence. They will take as much as they can, but then there'll be a boiling point. So don't test that with them. So, like I said again, the only way to fix that is also what I told you before. Listen to the voices of the people, but in this particular case, listen to and do a survey and then judge for yourself what the youth of this country lack. Like what they want changed. I mean, do a proper analysis of what the youth of this country want. And then listen to it. It's not that hard. I'm telling you, this job is only hard because we make it hard for ourselves. If not, it really shouldn't be this hard.
What has the Samagi Jana Balawege done in that regard?
What is the Samagi Jana Balawege done with regard to getting the youth to the party?
Yeah.
So I think we are revamping our youth group. So I think a very young and capable MP is going to be appointed as the leader of the youth group. As you know, I was the vice chairman, but then I retired. I resigned because as under my vice chairmanship, there were also 8 other vice chairmen, and we suffered multiple defeats. And accountability is when you lose, you go if you hold a position. So I basically, that's my opinion again. So I think the leader of the opposition, Sajid Premadasa, Mr. Sajid Premadasa is appointing a very capable youth group. So I think I can't see it going wrong. But that youth group also, coming back to what I told you before, so for the third time I'll say, better listen to the voices of the youth. So that's it's a very easy thing to do, because I always keep on saying this, because I've dealt with multiple scenarios where, you know, if you're upfront and if you're honest about your ideologies, you'll have enough and more people joining you. Irrelevant of how bad or good those ideologies are, you just have to have an ideology that you will stand by. The problem with us is that we are not standing by our ideologies. For example, I don't believe that we have the same ideology that had when we formed this party.
How has it changed?
The alliances that we have made. I mean, your news channel keeps on running it, no? Eda saha ada, about what people said then and now. So, I mean, I don't have to say it. So that's what I'm saying. Whether your principles are good or bad, you need to have a principle. So I hope that they develop these principles. Again, one can only hope and hope for the best.
One final question, Rehan. Looking at the bigger picture, what do you think, what kind of lessons can the opposition of our country learn from other countries that have, transformed themselves, other political movements actually in other countries?
Do good, get good, and do bad, and you're out. That's the very basic principle of it. You know, don't take the vote for granted, because many leaders have taken votes for granted, and look at where they are now. A lot of people have done it over 70 odd years of our existence as Sri Lanka. There have been many leaders who have taken it for granted. So don't do it. It's not worth it. Value the vote that you have got, because that one vote. You know, I always tell my voters that when someone goes into the voting station to the polling booth to vote Teruni, they vote with a very heavy feeling in their heart, and they want to cast that vote for themselves, their children, their families, for the betterment of these. So don't take it lightly. Treat it as something that you cannot replace with anything else in this world. Treat it as conditional love that's given to you to make a change. It's not unconditional. The problem with politicians is they think that the love given by the people is unconditional. It is not. You will be remembered for what you do. Always. And what you do will be the legacy that you leave behind for your kids. And their kids after that. So to all upcoming politicians, the politicians already in the game, you know, make that legacy. Create that legacy for yourselves, where you create a better Sri Lanka. And one day, your grandchildren will say, my father or my grandfather or my great-grandfather was responsible in making Sri Lanka the beautiful country that it is now. So I hope, and I sincerely hope that happens. And I wish all the political parties trying to do that all the best. And again, I tell the government that if there's any support that you'll need from us as the opposition, for anything constructive, we are there with you. But don't forget, when you slip up, we will also then come after you. We will not let you slip up, but, you know, not let you as in if you do slip up, it's not as if we are going to stay silent. So we will be a constructive opposition and not a destructive opposition. We will say good for what is good, and we will call out bad, or at least I will, and I have done so in the past. If you look at my Twitter, if you look at my Facebook, if you look at my social media presence, if you look at all the interviews I've done, I've been very straightforward with my stance. If you do good, you will hear compliments. If you don't do good, you will hear brickbats. That's it.
Well, that brings to an end tonight's edition of our conversation on Face to Face. Rehan Jayawickreme, Baligama Chief Organizer of the Samagichana Balavega and former Chairman of the Baligama Urban Council, was my guest tonight. Thank you very much, Rehan, for joining me tonight. And thank you very much, dear viewer, for joining us tonight as well. Take care. Good night.